these beautiful books were all collected into this story of my life in so many ways, and the story of just some of the fears that had plagued me as a young mom.
Today, we're going to take a little spin into books, living books. I mentioned last time that she and I both come from an eclectic Charlotte Mason style of education, but living books, the idea of living books isn't just for Charlotte Mason homeschoolers. So we're going to chat about that. Jennifer, welcome back. I would like you to introduce yourself this time through the lens of another book that you have written titled Mothering by the Book. How did that one come to be?
Oh, thanks so much, Cindy. I'm so honored to be here. And yes, I've been homeschooling for 27 years, and Mothering by the Book was almost like my opus. It was about how reading out loud to my children over many years of homeschooling helped me overcome fear. And each chapter in that book features a different living book that I read aloud with my children, or we read together and talked about, and the ways that the examples in that book helped me overcome a particular fear. For instance, reading the book Cheaper by the Dozen about a family of 12 children and how the father, who was an efficiency expert, trained habits in his children, helped me overcome the fear that I couldn't manage my own growing family. Or reading a book like Little House on the Prairie helped me overcome the fear of not having enough. So these beautiful books were all collected into this story of my life in so many ways, and the story of just some of the fears that had plagued me as a young mom. And living books, I adore this topic, Cindy, because in our last episode, we were talking about virtue. And in my mind, wonderful books is the best way to teach virtue to our children. It's not just about, will I give my kids a broader vocabulary than they would get from workbooks? It's not just about, will I make homeschooling more interesting to my children than I could through just giving them workbooks? It's about virtue, because when you read a story like Little Britches, where the father is just this example of diligence and caring for his family and teaching his son to be honest, and I mean, just the virtue that father showed in that book, and you read that grips our children, and it gives them a vision for how they could be. And I thought about this even in the light of my missionary journey, because we were missionaries in Mexico for 4 years, and that features big in the book Mothering by the Book. But we would never have had the confidence to be missionaries if we had not been reading missionary biographies and pioneer stories out loud to our children. And so in my mind, a living book shows your children what's possible. It shows them what virtue looks like. It shows them what resilience looks like. It gives them models and heroes to follow. And that's why I am extremely invested in helping families choose good books, because there's a lot of twaddle out there. Unfortunately, since, probably 2021 or so, a lot of modern books slip in deviant social values that most of us as Christian families don't share. And way before that, books and movies that were put out by more mainstream media or mainstream publishers had values like disrespect for parents, disrespect for adults, personal pleasure and personal satisfaction above the virtue of loving others or loving God. And so there's such an importance on what we bring to our table to serve our children in terms of ideas, in terms of values, in terms of virtue. And so, choosing the best books, living books. And there's a term that's often used in Charlotte Mason circles that they call some books twaddle. And twaddle would refer to, it's funny, even C.S. Lewis used that book. I'm reading his biography, Surprised by Joy, right now, his autobiography. And he even used that word twaddle to refer to poor quality books that have a lot of dialogue, books that do not exemplify virtue, books that are anti-hero or lacking a redemptive storyline. And sometimes it takes some practice to identify twaddle. But I think it's really important for us as families to identify, because our children, they need to be given beautiful ideas. Like C.S. Lewis, the way that he was able to write such deep and beautiful works and, Mere Christianity and the Out of the Silent Planet and the Narnia series, which we use in the Kind Kingdom and the Peaceful Press, those kinds of books came from him reading all the classics, reading, and reading deeply and widely. And so then he was able to produce those kinds of works.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.